Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Before we get into Odette's story today, I just want to offer a trigger warning that this episode talks in depth about domestic violence. If you are in need of support for domestic violence care, the phone number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233, and that's national to the United States. Okay, take care while you're listening to this episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. It's your host, Sarah, and today I have my new friend Odette with me, who's from the UK. So it's like 11 o'clock my time, but 7 p.m. her time. So it's later for her. I feel a little guilty, but we're going to get into this podcast. She's a mom and a counselor, and I just can't wait for you to hear her story. So, Odette, tell us who you are and what you're here to talk about.
So first, hi everyone. It's so nice to being able to be here and feel like I'm part of a community. So even though I haven't met anyone, it's just such a nice feeling. So yeah, my story. I won't go into too much detail, but I was growing up. My dad was a bit older than my mum, so my mum sort of had me at 18 years old, so she was young. She wasn't in school or college or anything like that. And my dad was ex-military, so he had a lot of his own issues, PTSD, and a lot of narcissistic traits, to be honest. And he was physically abusive to my mum, which I witnessed from a really, really young age. Sort of, I seen a lot of physical things that he did to her, and yeah, he was also an alcoholic. So it was just a lot of him drinking and violence. So yeah, that was sort of my upbringing. I think my mum left him when I was probably about, I'd say 11 or 12. And then my mum sort of got her life back then. So it was going out, drinking, parties, all of that. So 12, 13-year-old me then, I'm in the house, my mum's gone, I'm inviting my friends over, we're rubbing alcohol, we're, just getting into chaos. Yeah, so that was sort of it. I just sort of grew up with all the violence and that, and I was really close to my cousin, and she asked me to stay over at hers one night, and I couldn't. I was 15 now, working part-time in a cafe, and then next day I got the phone call that she'd been murdered. So that was, yeah, another big sort of trauma. And then she had a 6-month-old baby and a 2-year-old son. So my mum and us, we took them in. And then that was nice, and we raised them for a bit. But then my mum fell pregnant with my younger brother, and then the kids went to my auntie. So that was another broken attachment. So it was all my attachments had just sort of been broken, every sort of big one. And then that was it. I don't really have much of, a big support system, a big family that was really close. And no one sort of understood these things. So as I'm 15, 16, I'm really acting out now. My mum doesn't know what to do with me. She's calling people around that she knows to physically restrain me because I'm just going mental in my room. And, I've got all these things and I don't understand why. So I actually knew, because I know that this isn't a typical or a very common BPD symptom, but I was hallucinating. I was seeing people that weren't there, having conversations with people, hearing music come out of tiles. So that's when the doctors, they misdiagnosed me with depression for so many years. And it was only then when I started getting them symptoms, which was after I had my son, was when I realized, there's something more here. So they sent me to psychiatry, and then, yeah, there's BPD, GAD, PTSD. Then there was a possible ADHD, but they didn't go into that anymore. So I haven't been treated for that. But I think the symptoms, they started when I was quite young. Self-harm come at quite a young age. So, and it was just, I hadn't even been around that, but that was just my go-to from such a young age. Yeah, and then it wasn't until I become a counsellor and I got my degree when I had my son. I was like, okay, this is what is going on and this is how I'm going to try to deal with it. But I still haven't. Do you know what I mean? Like some days are really good and I'm fine. And then other days I'm just like so emotional that I can't even do anything. I can't get out of bed. So it's just like fighting that sort of thing every day and trying to get help in the UK from like the public system. It isn't very good. So you can't get diagnosed for ADHD unless you're between the ages of 17 and 25. Yeah, I don't know why that's a rule, but it is. So obviously I haven't been able to get a diagnosis. So my doctor keeps giving me promethazine, which is a sort of sedative. So they're not really dealing with the problems. They're just sort of medicating me and sort of being like, yeah, there you go, on your way. But yeah, so that's
I I just want to say, like, your story includes so much chaos. I just like we say this about everyone, and everyone is in their own unique way very resilient. But the things that you have been through, you have to be so resilient to get through that. And like, of
yeah.
course, you went to self-harm. Of course, you did, because that's like an extreme coping mechanism for an extreme situation.
Yeah, I think everything's always been sort of chaotic, and it took me a long time to realize that, when things were quiet, it didn't feel right. Like I felt like I needed to go and look for chaos, like I needed to do something. And it's took me a long time to sort of be able to have the calm. And it's sad because it's been created by myself. I haven't had my parents, I haven't had, like anyone sort of come in and teach me how to do this. I was just sort of like, okay, here we go. I just knew that I always wanted a different life for my son. And I think that is what changed it massively. So obviously, I grew up with my dad drinking. So in my teenage years, what did I go and do? I went out and drank. And his sort of strategy for everything was violence. So if someone's mean to you at school, you punch them in the face. It was always, taught to me that you have to be violent. But I was never, ever like that. Like, I've never been like violent. I've always had like the most horrible amount of empathy. And I say horrible because I feel everything like too much and I really don't like it. But yeah, it's so much chaos.
Yeah.
It's
And if you don't mind me asking, what's your relationship like with your dad and mom now? Do you have one?
So I actually cut contact with my dad myself. That was my choice because he was, like I said, he's very narcissistic. So after he left, so it happened after an intense night, he beat up my mum and then he kidnapped me and took me to Newcastle. So we went and stayed in Newcastle and I think he had me there for like 3, 4 months, maybe longer. Like I'm so disassociated from all that. It's sort of like such a blur. But he put me in school over that. And then my mum sent my uncles to come and get me back because my auntie contacted my mum because my dad was like drinking while he had me all the time. And then after that, I didn't see my dad for years. It wasn't until I was a teenager when I went to see him. So I went to see him. I found out he was living at a flat. So I showed up and it was so bad actually. So I knocked the door and he opened with a knife, like holding a knife. And I was like, okay, no, I'm your daughter. Don't do that. Yeah, and then he let me in and he was sober, but then he sort of just left again and there was no contact. And then he sort of got in contact over Facebook, I'd probably say like 6 years ago. And it was just everything he said, it was always horrible. It was always putting me down. It was always, and then like if I'd react a certain way, he'd say that I'm too much or that there's something wrong with me. And it's just like, you are what caused this. Like, do you know what I mean? How can you say that this is wrong with me when like I'm just reacting to you? But anyway, I found it too painful. So I sent him a message. I said, the way that you make me feel, I would never, ever like make my children feel that ever. I said, and I can't keep you in my life because it's hurting. And then I just like left it at that, and he liked the message and then like just left it. So I left that. My mum's got a lot of long-term health issues. It's hard to be able to talk to her about, things or things that have happened in the past because she's so traumatized herself. So we sort of just don't talk about anything like that really at all. But we're close, but she lives down the road and she doesn't like to see me much, I don't think. It's just a bit like, if I'm like, oh, are you pass it? I'm going to pass by, and she'll just not reply for like a few hours, and then she'll be like, oh, I was busy, I was doing this. But I just feel like pushed away from her. Like she pushes me away. So I just feel like I've sort of give up trying because there's no point. Sorry if it sounds like I'm getting a little bit emotional.
I think emotional is an appropriate response to this.
Yeah, it's just like some of these things, like it's just hard to, talk about. But I mean, so many of the people have been through so much trauma, and it's just like, I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. I need to just like sort it out. And I can't because I can't fix the relationships with anyone.
No, because there's relationships are two-sided, right? And like you can't control the lack of emotional intelligence that's coming from the other side. And
Yeah.
the other thing is like, can a relationship where there's been so much domestic violence be reconciled? I don't know that it can.
No, no, because there's too much like memories there, I mean, I'll always love my parents, like no matter what. But it's just, I just sometimes think like, just don't have children if you're this messed up. Like, but my dad's got like 7 of us. So, and I think he's only in contact with one. So my dad's sort of just just doesn't really care. He'll only have a relationship with someone if it's sort of beneficial to him. So he's never met his grandson.
Do you
And
know, do you have a
yeah.
relationship with any of your siblings?
Yeah, so my younger brothers, one of them is my dad's, the other my mum got into relationships. So I have a stepdad and he's really good. He's been there a lot. He was there, he takes me to appointments, he sits with me, yeah, he visits for cups of tea. So I have found like a dad. So that's nice. But they're not together anymore. So I have my sibling that's also my dad's, that's my younger brother. He's 25, 25, yeah. We're quite close, but he sort of doesn't leave the house, and he's been through some traumas, and he went through a stage where I don't think he left the house for like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So I see him now and then, but it's not the type of relationship where, say, if I'm upset or something, I can't go and speak to him because my brother gets so annoyed by me, by my emotions, and how quickly I'm triggered. He finds it really hard sometimes to like be around me. So
My younger brother is 29 now, and I know that he gets really overwhelmed and uncomfortable with my emotions, and he just like shuts down. So I can totally relate to that.
yeah, but like my brother gets annoyed as well. Does yours? Yes, so they'll just get frustrated at you and like, why can't you act normal? Sorry.
You know, it's like, it's not my fault. Why can't you just understand?
Exactly. And I've also figured out like, so whenever I'm open with someone, I mean, I'm quite an open person. I'm an open book, but I'll say, oh, mum, I was diagnosed with BPD, or my brother, I've got BPD. They won't look at it, like they won't try and find out what it is. They won't understand it. So it's just like I'm saying something and it's getting no response. So I'm trying to say this is why, like, just have a look because this is why I am the way I am. And it's just they won't do it. So it's hard for them to understand, right, when they don't even like look into it. But I find it sad that like, because that's the first thing I'd do for someone, right? So if my son said to me, "Oh, mum, I've got this," I'd be looking up what it is, how do I help, all that kind of stuff. And like, no one's ever really done that for me. So yeah, it's always sort of been like, I've had to deal with it myself. Otherwise, it just doesn't get dealt with. It's just, I have to just try and sort of make it through with no help.
Yeah. You're breaking generational traumas, though, in the way that you're parenting your kid.
Yes, definitely. And that's something I'm so proud of. Like, I actually love that I've been able to do that. Yeah. My son's such a blessing. I love him so much. But right, it's like when he wasn't a planned pregnancy, by the way, it was like I was young and I was on the pill, but I got pregnant and it's always been me and him. He's never had his dad around. So I raised him alone with undiagnosed BPD. It was it was tough. It was very tough.
I think there's so many women that have been in that situation because, like, our relationships can be so chaotic that we don't end up staying with partners. And then, whoopsie, we get pregnant. And then, like, I- you know, I just have so much respect for single moms in general, but like anyone parenting with borderline is so difficult. And then you throw on the single mom part of it, and it's like, and you didn't have family supports. I can't even imagine how you did that. And yet here you are with this like great kid.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it either, to be honest. But I think it's because I was so scared of messing him up, right? Because no way do I want him to feel like the way I feel. Like, no way do I want him to experience the things that I did. I want him to feel safe, and I'm so glad that he does. Like, he can be so cheeky to me sometimes, like, but it's funny. He makes me laugh. But growing up, obviously, with a mum with an emotional disorder, I guess. Like he feels a lot. And sometimes he'll react big as well. So I thought it kind of I noticed it, like he'd lose something and he'd be so upset over it. He'd be crying and I thought, oh God, that he's learned that from me. And that sort of made me like take a step back and I was able to say to him, right, I know it's stressful. I know you're upset, but this is what we're going to do. And by doing it with him, I taught myself how to sort of regulate as well. So that's quite interesting.
How old is he?
13, just turned.
Oh, so you're going into the teenage years.
Oh, yes. But right now, he still feels like he's 9 years old to me. He still feels like just so young. He doesn't feel like a proper teenager yet. But that's so scary, right? Because I don't even feel like I still feel like a teenager at heart. And I've got a teenager.
Yeah. I we have a teenager across the street and she's just turned 15, super cool, queer kid, great parents. But I just think like I look at this kid who's 15 and she's a kid. She's so childlike. And when I was 15, I was like blacking out on park benches, having sex, skipping class and smoking weed out of an apple, just like all the shit. And I can't even fathom baby. She's a baby. I can't even fathom like watching these kids do what we did.
Because they're so innocent, right? They haven't been exposed to all the things that we were exposed to. So they get to be kids for a bit longer. We had to grow up quickly,
Yeah.
which I think which is part of the reason I'm such a big kid now. Like, I'll always find things for us to do, like slide parks, like climbing walls. We go swimming. We'll just do like Ninja Warrior, all them things, because I can experience being a kid again, sort of at the age of 33. So it's good. I spent my 33rd birthday at Ninja Warrior. So it
I
just
love
shows.
that. So, what is your adult friendships and dating like?
So friendships, I probably have like three friends, which I'm sort of really close with. One of my friends, one of my best friends, she's got BPD too. So, but do you know what I find? We feed off each other too much. So if I'm having a bad anxiety, she'll understand where I'm coming from. And she'll be like, yeah, like that makes sense. Whereas other people are like, no, that doesn't make sense. How did you get there? So we love each other to pieces, but we also know that we make each other sometimes more like if we're angry, we can make each other more angry. We can make each other more sad. So we're a bit more aware of that. But yeah, so there's probably like three friends that I'm close with. I've been in a long-term relationship for 3 years now. It's God, my emotions, right? They're just always in the way of everything. Like, and I dissociate a lot. So I sort of like I'm not even here half the time. And like sometimes my partner will say like, "You're not showing me like any emotion or like any affection," and I'm just like, all right, but I'm in this state where I'm not even thinking about that, and I find it hard because I can't always like be there for someone when I feel like my emotions are just too big. They take over everything, and it makes it tough. It does.
But I mean, if you've been with your partner for 3 years, you're making it work.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, it is good. We don't argue a lot. Like, we've probably had 4 or 5 arguments in the 3 years. But it's yeah, it's just a challenge every day. Like, I am happy. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am really happy. I just wish that I could like think normally. Like, I'm just so paranoid all the time. So like, even after 3 years in a relationship, I still feel like, oh, he's gonna leave me, or he's going to go meet someone else because I'm too much and this is too much. And sometimes he even says like it's too much. And like we have to pause, which is quite a good thing that we learned to do. So pause when like when you start to spiral. So you'll see a follow on Instagram and then the next thing gets they're DMing each other, they're meeting up in public, they're doing this, they're doing that. And you've just gone so far already that you can't even get back to baseline and sort the main problem because you've already gone and done this whole scenario in your head. So sometimes he's just like, how did you get there? Like, and yeah, it's we make it work, but it's just I think I need to learn how to deal with things better. I'm not very good at being open either. And I think it's just because of all my life, like every time I've been open, it's been ignored. So it just seems like it's best like not to, because I always feel like I'm putting myself first. When I react the way that I do, I just can't stop. Like I can't. I'm still learning skills. Like, but yeah, it's tough sometimes. But I find it good that I've got someone there. Like I can be sad, I can be stressed, and just having someone there. Like they don't even have to be talking, but excuse me. But sometimes it's just nice to have someone. And I can't imagine being alone. Like it actually terrifies me. I mean, I've got my son, but it's like lying in bed at night with someone or watching films or something like that. Like that's the stability I've always needed and wanted, right? I've wanted a normal family always. And like, yeah, he's not my son's dad, but they get on, they're quite close. So I finally have this calm, stable, relationship, house. Like, he's not chaotic. He's actually the first relationship I've had where he hasn't hit me. Like, the first one where there's been no, abuse at all. And for ages, you're just expecting it, right? So for the first few arguments, like when we had a disagreement, I wouldn't argue back. Like it didn't feel safe. So, okay, so just because of that, I'm just going to get into the bit before. So my relationship before my partner now, he tried to kill me. So there was, I needed surgery on my face. There was a lot of trauma, all of that. So then my next relationship is with this partner. So as soon as things get heated, obviously, trauma part of my brain went straight back to you're gonna get hurt. So yeah, it took me probably like a year or so to even be able to argue back or to voice what I want. And now it's like I feel so safe that I'll just moan at anything, or like sometimes I'm too much. Like I'll get stressed and I'm storming around and I'm looking for things and I'm just angry. And it's just like, it's nice that I can be like that again rather than scared.
The way you always deserved.
Finally, it only took over 30 years.
Yeah. I have to say, Odette, I'm so sorry for the violence that has happened in your life. I'm sure you've heard that by a lot of people, but I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Well, it's not. It's not okay,
It's not
but
okay, but that's
it's
what we
not
say,
okay.
right?
But yeah, that's what we have to say, isn't it? To sort of, make ourselves feel better. Like it's okay. But yeah, it's actually really horrible. I think growing up from seeing my dad physically violent with my mum, it was just the normal standard, right? In relationships, like I grow up like that's what happens. And it took me so long to realize, like, you deserve so much more. So I had to sort of give myself the empathy to be able to do this because for so long I felt like I didn't deserve any of this because you grow up with it, right? So it's like, this seems to be life.
Have you ever tried to just blow it up? You're like, oh, I finally got the thing. Now, like, it's so uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with it. I'm just going to ruin it.
I've tried to kick him out so many times. Like I will be packing, like getting his things. I'm like, pack your things. You need to go. I can't do this anymore. And I in the time I mean it. Like I genuinely mean it. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this relationship. It's too much. It's too overstimulating. But he's sort of got to the point now where he knows after an hour or so, I won't be like that anymore and I'll be sorry. And we're not even sorry, I wouldn't say, just like sort of seeing things a bit more clearly. But yeah, I blow things up, try to all the time, a lot. But yeah, he's sort of just got used to that behavior now. So he's just like, yeah, I'll go away for a bit and then she'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that's not what I need, right? So if I'm angry and I'm shouting and I'm telling you to get out, like sometimes it's just reassurance that I need. Like, don't get angry back, just hug me. And, half the stuff won't probably even happen. Because a lot of the time I'm not even angry at him. It's just I'm angry at like myself, the way I respond, the way I think. I don't like it. So that's just sort of how it goes. But I'm getting better with it. And also note that I've never tried to kick him out while my son's been at home. So I've also always made sure like my son's at my mum's or something like that. And then I kick him out, but he won't go.
You're like, now I can blow it up. It's safe. I'm not exposing my kid to it.
But that's
Yeah,
got to take some self-awareness. So it goes somewhere.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Talon and I always talk about like how we have to work to regulate my emotions before we can help regulate his if there's conflict because mine are so big. But there was a moment recently where he was really angry, which is normal in relationships. We get angry. And he was like, you're the only one that's allowed to have emotions here. Like, I need you to let me have my emotions. And he was really angry. And I was like, it scares me when you're angry, even though I know you're not going to do anything to hurt me. Still, my gut reaction is to experience fear. And that was a real eye opener for me of like, how do I let him have his emotions while regulating my fear, right? And I have to imagine you experience a lot of fear.
Yeah, because I mean, although we know like they won't hurt us, but we've been there before, right? We've been there with other people where we think we know, we're not going to get hurt. But I think we've just been, our bodies are so used to that trauma, it just biologically goes there. Like I feel like it's that twisting, isn't it, in your chest, like something's really going to happen and panicking. Do you ever get the impulse, like, when you're like really like anxious and that to just like run and just run? Yeah.
So I used to jump out of cars and like downtown Portland, it's famous for having like 8 bridges or something like that. I used to like leave places in the middle of the night and just start walking. So I like left a bar, walked like 3 miles over like 3 bridges. My phone was dead. I had to go through a part of downtown that wasn't great. I had to like find a place to buy a phone charger. There was another time where like my ex-wife and I were in a parking garage and we had an argument and I like jumped out of the car on the freeway and walked probably like 4 miles before some random person and his wife picked me up off the side of the road and drove me home. And I'm like so fucking lucky that they didn't hurt me. Like
Yeah.
I used to physically just dart from places.
It's because you feel like you have to get away, right? And but we don't realize how like dangerous that is. But you're not thinking in that moment, are you? So when you're jumping out that car, you're not thinking, okay, I'm going to get hurt. You're thinking, I just need to go. Like, and it's automatic and it just, but yeah, you are so lucky because the world is just not a good place. But yeah, I've done that before. I remember I was trying to go to a friend's and I like hitchhiked to Birmingham, right? In this random car with this random person that I didn't know. Like I could have got kidnapped. Like, but I wasn't thinking, right? And this was when I was young, undiagnosed BPD, drinking like excessive amounts of alcohol. Like you don't, and you put yourself in such dangerous situations that, yeah, I think we're just so used to danger. We're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, and whatever dopamine hit you're looking for ends up feeling more important than the potential risk. So like honestly, like the fact that I never got pregnant, never got an STD, never got seriously injured through having sex with 100 and some men that I don't know any of their names, like I am
Yeah.
so incredibly lucky. Like, I don't know what kind of God spared me from that risk, but like someone spared me.
God knows that you've already been through too much. He doesn't want to add any more. But that's something that I've sort of found helpful actually, like speaking of God, is I found my faith again. So this last year, I've never read the Bible and stuff, and now I'm reading the Bible every night. I'm praying 2, 3 times a day. When I'm getting angry, instead of okay, I want to run and throw things, I'll pray. And I didn't think it would help because obviously, when you're so angry and you just think you need to go, I didn't think I'd be able to just stop. But it seems that I can just, it gives me something else to focus on entirely. And I found that quite healing actually. So that's also a good thing I
Yeah.
picked up.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I mean, I think like having a relationship with any kind of like higher power or purpose or whatever anyone wants to call it is so grounding.
It is, it's so comforting. And it's like, it's a way to process your emotions as well, It's someone to well, do you know what? My dog is the person who I rant to the most. Like, if he could talk, the poor little thing. But yeah, that's also something. So I, before I left my mum's house, I brought a puppy. So before I left, I was like, say, 18. And then I had this dog. I had Boss until I was 32, and he passed away. So I had him for like all my years of trauma, all these years. And he was like my best friend, like the one constant that I had. And I also had another dog, Eros, which was 4 when he passed. But losing them sort of, it broke something like so bad inside me. And I went and I got a puppy last year, and he's 1 now. And I honestly, for someone with BPD, I think animals are amazing. Like, just to have, I've got a dog and a cat, and they just give me so much love and so much comfort. And they're not judgmental, right? So you can feel what you want to feel, and they love you anyways. But I do think for people with BPD, having pets is like so comforting, and I could never be without.
Yeah, I can't possibly live without I have a lot of pets, but my one dog, Nova, is like my heart dog. But I recently found a bump on her that I need to get checked out, and like it just it's that reality check of like they're not going to live forever. And I think as people with borderline, like you experience the loss of your dogs. Like I haven't experienced that yet, and I'm just like mortified.
It's, I'm not gonna lie, like it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever felt, like ever. But he died in my arms, so that made it so much worse. And obviously, my son was so attached to him because I had my dog before I had my son. So he grew up like my son's whole life. So it was actually like, it upset me a bit. So I was feeling these big emotions after the boss had passed. And I was expecting my son to cry and, be inconsolable. And all he wanted to do was make sure I was okay. Like, he just kept hugging me saying, "It's okay, Mom." And it's like, I'm supposed to be doing that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I hope she's okay because I can't even, let's not go that right. Happy. Let's talk about happy things with the dogs. But
Totally.
no, yeah.
So what have we not talked about that you want to share?
Um, I don't know. There's sort of so much. My brain sort of goes away with me sometimes, and it's the untreated ADHD. So I'll go off on a tangent. I'll forget about things and sort of just go off. But yeah, I think we should like go back to our emotions being too big and our partners feeling like we have to let them have it too, and we do. And it's so good that he's able to say to you, this is what I need, and I need to feel this, because then it's safe, right? And I just sort of will remove myself. But if my partner starts pacing, that's like a trigger for me, and I get so like anxious that something's going to happen. But if I just go over and hug him, he'll hug me back, and I will regulate, and it'll be nice. So it's nice being able to find someone that I can finally do that with. But letting him have his emotions is hard. It is hard.
Yeah, because you don't know what they're going to be or how they're going to react to their emotions. Like even though you can guess, it's kind of like as someone with borderline, you're always prepared for the worst. And
Yeah.
you're prepared that they're going to leave you and that they're going to like say mean things to you, or they might physically assault you, or like whatever your experience is that results in your fear. Um, like you're just convinced in that moment it's going to happen. Like you said, your body knows that that's going to happen. It's not always the case. And like in my case and in your case now, it's not the case, right? But like
Yeah.
you feel like it is.
It's because it's years and it's a lifetime of of having the worst, right? So the worst has always seemed to happen. So when it doesn't, we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to deal with letting people have these big emotions that are actually safe, because you can be angry and things are safe, right? Like anger's a normal emotion. But for us, it's like a trigger, and our fight or flight will kick in, and that's sort of it. And then it's just hard to sort of get back then, isn't it? Because the focus sort of switches to you and how you feel. And I say a lot of mean things in anger, and I don't mean them. Like, but I can say mean things. And like I said, sometimes it feels easier to just end the relationship because these feelings are too much. So I just won't have a relationship. Do you know what I mean? So it's learning to, yeah, cope with them all. And it's been 3 years, well, over 3 years, and I still don't know how to, feel safe. But we'll get there, right?
And hopefully you can find some really good therapy, because I know you said you're being medicated, but that the system is really hard to find like good therapy, it sounds like.
Yeah, so they put me through therapy before, but it's always CBT. And that's not what I need. Like, I need intense psychotherapy. I need to go back to all this trauma. But they don't have that, I guess, the funding to, I think it's limited to 6 or 8 sessions. My voice keeps breaking, but it's because I'm recovering from bronchitis. So I've been ill for 3 weeks. It's been a nightmare.
That is. And like you can't do shit in 6 to 8 sessions. Like not trauma work, right? Why is like you can learn some really good skills in 6 to 8 sessions, but you cannot do deep, intensive trauma processing in that time.
That's it. And the therapist kept bringing it back to, she's like, why don't you feel good enough? And I don't even think I said that. I didn't feel good enough, like, but she kept bringing it back to that. And it was quite frustrating for me because I didn't really, because I was like, I don't feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I deserve love. I feel like I deserve happiness. So it's not that. Why you keep going there? So they just focus on their own thing, it seems. And it's just pointless.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT is a good therapist.
And that's where like we have to get comfortable telling our therapist, like, no, this isn't working for me.
Yeah. But I just don't see a point in, I mean, they keep referring me back to the same place, and there's no point because that's not what I need. But the sister, or like the GP, even so I went to the GP and I told him all these things that I was feeling and thinking. And then he asked what I do for work, right? So I said, and he said, oh, well, you'll understand what you need more than me. I don't know what you want me to do. And I was like, wait, you're the GP. How can you say that? So yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
Is there a way for you to privately get intensive therapy?
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna go back into therapy, but at the moment I'm still trying to pass my driving test. And obviously you're in dollars, I'm in pounds, but I'm spending 350 to £400 a month on driving lessons at the moment. So it's like therapy's gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
And this is what's such bullshit about our systems is that like okay, so you have a lot of countries, my country doesn't, but a lot of countries have a publicly funded medical and mental health system. And then there's a wait list a mile long. They only fund a certain number of sessions and all of these things. Whereas and the alternative to that is paying out of pocket, right? Whereas in our country, we pay for health insurance most of the time. Most people pay for private health insurance and then have a pretty good mental health benefit. And
Yeah.
or like I'm a Medicaid, which is state funded medical. I'm a Medicaid provider for the state of Oregon, and our clients are getting pretty good benefits. Like I can technically see my clients every other week for like years.
Yeah, so that's good because you're not giving them, you can only have this amount of sessions. We have to do this in this amount of time. And you can't rush healing, you can't rush the therapy process. And that's part of the problem. They just want to quick fix, get you out, CBT, change how you think. But that's not how it works. And they don't seem to understand that. But even the assessment for the ADHD, you can't get it unless you're between a certain age. And going private, it's just so expensive when you've got so much other stuff sort of going on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I had to, my last insurance, my providers weren't in network, so I had to private pay for them. And that was almost $500 a month for private paying, which is a lot of fucking money. And
it is.
it pisses me off that this is an issue here in the States, but I believe that our medical providers should be required to be in network with every single health insurance there is, but instead they decide to opt out because some health insurances don't pay them as much money. But then you can't, then someone like me who doesn't have an option but to enroll in Cigna can't see her providers because those providers aren't in network with Cigna. It's all just a bunch of bullshit. But I will say my experience with providing mental health care through the state-funded system has been positive, that people are able to get long-term services.
And that's what they need, right? They need the long-term services, because if you're doing short ones and then they're referring you back, you're definitely seeing another therapist. So you're re-explaining everything all over again. Whereas if you've got the same therapist over the years, it works because you build the therapeutic relationship, you can trust them, they know what you need. I mean, it's all good reading notes, but you actually get to know the person.
Yeah, it's also hard. I'm sorry, dude.
I know. It's horrible. Me too.
But that's cool. You're going to get your driver's license.
Well, hopefully the test is booked, so fingers crossed.
Yes, I love it.
I've left it so late. But I've done my lessons when I was 18. I've done more lessons when I was 21. I've done more when I was 28. And I just stopped. So now I'm actually going to do it this time. I will do it this time. And I've got so many plans to do when I've passed. I want to go book a weekend away with my dog and my son and, just get away.
Mm-hmm.
Go more places, get out of the city.
Yeah, and you'll totally be able to do that once you get that license.
Yes, hopefully.
All right, my friend, what is one thing you want people to know about borderline?
That it's normal to have all these big emotions. It doesn't mean we're too much. We just need to find the right person or people to understand us. And it can take a long time, but have faith. We'll get there.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Hi, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to the Bold, Beautiful Borderline podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your content. That is super helpful for me. It helps us find additional folks who want to listen to the show, want to feel seen, family members who want to learn, and partners who want to understand. If you want to follow along to more than just the podcast, find us on Instagram at Bold Beautiful Borderline, find me at Borderline from Hell, or head over to boldbeautifulborderline.com where there's information, resources, a place to leave a voicemail to be heard on the podcast, which I love, and just general content. All of that information can be found in the show notes. And if you want to get exclusive content, which is bonus episodes, journal prompts, worksheets, all sorts of extra stuff, sometimes videos of me with my hair very crazy with kind of impulsive borderline rants, head over to Patreon and consider becoming a member. That is super helpful with creating content that allows me to destigmatize BPD and all of the other wild mental health struggles that we discuss on the podcast. A huge thanks to everyone who joins on the podcast to share their story and just generally helps keep this thing alive. Especially my friend Corey Evans from the Evergreen Band. He produced and created the music that is the intro and outro for this show, as well as the cover art that was created by my husband, Talon Abbott. Their information is found in the show notes. All of the information discussed in the podcast is purely personal experience. This is not medical recommendations. This is not therapy recommendations. There's no producer for this show. It's all me.